Hello everyone, and welcome back to my series on Solidworks Basics. Today I'm going to revisit this piece that I made in the last video, which I said could easily be something like a washer nozzle. So let's go ahead and run with that. Off camera, I've gone ahead and specified my material and specified that it's 316 stainless because that is something that a washer nozzle might be made of. The next thing I'm going to do is make, or in this case modify, an existing fitting to go into the back side of this, and then I'm going to show you how to make a basic assembly. So what do I mean by modify? Well, if you go to everyone's favorite hardware store, McMaster-Carr, if you don't know about McMaster, go to McMaster.com and you can find pretty much everything there. I'm going to go here and I'm going to search for barbed fittings. There we go. And in this particular case, I'm cheating because I've already found the one that I want, but I can go here to tube supports. I have barbed fittings right here that kind of already look like what I want, and I can choose any of these here. In this particular case, I'm going to go with this fellow right here because the tubing would be available, but of course you could pick any of the ones down here. Probably be more suitable to choose a metric one. But you can go to the product detail and you can download the CAD file for it in a variety of different file formats. So I'm going to choose format, or choose SolidWorks, pardon me. And I've actually already downloaded this, so you can just click download. You can save it wherever you want to save it. In this particular case, I've already got it open right here. The SolidWorks file from McMaster-Carr has the part number right there, so if you ever get something from a customer where they have fittings specified, then you can look up that number right there and order everything you need. Now in this case, I am going to modify this geometry to match the piece that I've already done. Mainly, I just didn't want to have to figure out how to draw all these barbed fittings. So I'm lazy. I'm making a shortcut, basically. So what I'm going to do first is sketch. I'm going to choose one of the planes. Let me see which one fits best. Sorry, I'm going to choose that one right there. And for the most part, all this is good. I'm just going to draw something on top of this, and then I'm going to revolve it and mate it to the other piece. So let me get my view normal again. I'm going to show you a couple of little tricks here. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to start drawing from right there. I'm going to go out to about right there. And I'm just going to do the basic shape of that recess. You could see that it snapped to be 90 degrees to that point. And now I just need to get all of this defined. First of all, this is inch pound seconds, so I'm going to change that to millimeters grams second. You can change that on the fly, so no big deal. It does close the sketch though, so I want to click that and I want to click edit sketch, which is right there. So right now I'm in edit sketch. I can go to smart dimension and I'm going to choose if it'll snap to the origin. I don't know. Tell you what, I'm going to do a few things first. I know I want that to be 2 millimeters. I want this entire thing to be 4 millimeters. In order to get these dimensions here, I'm going to come to line and I'm going to hit the drop down and choose center line. I should be able to snap to the origin point, and I'll just come out to a point over here. This does not have to be defined. I'll hit escape to get out of that. And I'll go back to Smart Dimension. And right here, that distance, I know that I want that to be 11 millimeters. And then I know that I want this dimension here to be 12.5 millimeters. These dimensions will coincide with the dimensions on my mating part. And now everything's fully defined. Everything should be good to go. I can do a revolve by clicking the drop down here. And I can choose my center line, which it chooses automatically since I drew it. And I can click that. And now I've got a barbed fitting with that boss there that's going to mate with our other piece. Now this is actually the stock piece, and I could actually go ahead and change this hole diameter to match the bore there. Since this is just a sample piece, I'm not going to bother. But if I wanted to do that, I could click over here on the revolve, and I could say edit sketch, which is right here, and I could just change the dimension from that center line to there. I'm going to just exit the sketch though. So now I am going to save this piece as something else. So in this case, I'll need to get to my SolidWorks files thing here and just ignore all these other pieces. I'm going to call this sample part 3B. All right, there we go. So this is just saying that it's an older version that it was drawn in. I'm going to hit save. Okay, so now I have this piece, I have this other piece, and if I come up here to my new file, I've got a drop-down box. If I click that, I have the options to make a drawing for this piece, which I'll show you in a future video, or I want this one, make assembly from a part or assembly. So I'm going to click that. It's going to ask which plane I want to start inserting parts, and I'm going to choose there. It automatically inserts the first part, the one that you chose to make an assembly from. And from here, I can go ahead and insert tools with the basic assembly tools right here. Again, this is the simplified interface, but on the standard interface, I'll go ahead and turn that off so you can see it. On the standard interface, you'll have this assembly tab right here, and you would choose insert components. The same thing will be up here on your simplified interface, pardon me, which again I just find by clicking this arrow, going to view, going to workspace, and I'm turning on simplified interface. Okay, so it's time to insert components, and when I click that, it brings up this text tree here, and everything that is currently open in SolidWorks as a program will be available here. In this case, that piece is already open, so I'm going to click that. But if I needed to browse and go to items that were closed, I could click browse right there and search anywhere on my PC. So in this case, I'm just going to click that fitting, and now I can insert it anywhere on the field. Now right now I've inserted that, and it's just hanging out in space, not really related at all to my current piece. So now what we need to do is insert mates. You can find that up here in your basic assembly tools. You've got the mate icon right there. I'll show this again in a more complicated assembly with the standard interface, but just for now we're going to stick with the simplified one. So I'm going to click mate. It's going to open up a text tree here. At this point you're choosing surfaces that are going to mate together. So I'm going to zoom in so it's a little easier to click this, but I can choose this face right here, and that is face number 1, and I want it mated to this face right here. So if I click that, it will assume a certain type of mate, which you can see in the list right here, and in this case it assumes coincident. Let me zoom out and reposition here. So you can now see that those two faces are touching. Now what we have right now are two pieces that are intersecting in a way that they would never intersect in the real world. So the next thing we need to do, I click that green check mark just to say that that mate was done. The next thing we need to do is make these two pieces concentric. So I'm going to choose that face right there, that boss, and I'm going to choose this one right here, and it's going to assume that those two need to be concentric. So I can click my green check mark again, and now you can see those two pieces are put together. So we're all done with the mates. At this point, this is a complete assembly. So now I'm going to save this assembly. I'm going to click Save As. It did not save where I thought it would be. Let's see, I should be able to get to it pretty easily there. I've got a folder here called Basics for Assemblies, and I'm just going to put that in as sample assembly. Yep, spelled it right. That's good. Component documents must be saved. I'm just going to click Save All. There we go. And it's probably because I had modified this, but I hadn't saved it yet. I'm not entirely sure. Let me see. Yeah. So let me show you one other thing. I'll go back to my assembly. You can see that this piece is just the dull gray sample generic model type thing, whereas this is the slightly different gray because I changed the material to 316. If I come over here and go back to my sample barbed fitting, you can see our material is not specified. If I click Edit Material and I'm in steel and I go to 316 stainless and hit Apply, it has now changed our part. I'm going to save that, and now when I go back into my sample assembly, it will say that some of the assembly pieces have changed. Would you like to rebuild it? And yes I would. And now you can see that everything's the same color because it's all the same material according to Solidworks. You can go in and change any feature on any of these pieces and it will automatically change it in the assembly file. You'll probably get a text box that pops up that says, hey, something's changed. Do you want to rebuild? And the answer is always yes. So for instance, I could go in and I could change the size of these holes and it would be totally fine with that. It would just rebuild. Let's go ahead and do that now just so you can see it. Those were cut extrudes right there, so I'm going to click that. I'm going to edit the sketch, and tell you what, I'm going to make that a 9mm hole instead. I'm going to click over here. And now when I exit the sketch, it's going to change it right there. And I'll go ahead and do the other one as well, just to have it be consistent. I clicked it, edit sketch. I'll make that a 9mm hole again. And I can exit the sketch. I'll save my part. You'll get an asterisk up here next to the part name at the top of the screen if you haven't saved that. So it's a indication that the part has changed. So now when I go to assembly, you can see the asterisk right there. It's going to ask me to rebuild. Models contained within the assembly have changed. Would you like to rebuild the assembly now? And yes. So that was a pretty small change, but now those pieces are all 9mm instead. If, for instance, you just opened up this assembly, let me go ahead and save real fast. If I just opened up the assembly, you can go to your tree over here on the left-hand side, and you can click on any of these parts. It'll highlight the part, and it should allow you to open that part. So you can open them directly from the assembly. I've already got it open in this particular case. You can choose various other options. You can open the drawing for it, which we don't have yet. You can edit the part. You can hide components. And in this particular case, it's very common to need to suppress a component so that you can see what's behind it. So if I chose that, it will hide it. You can see that it's grayed out in the tree. And if I click it again, I can unsuppress and bring it back. It's still there. If I modify it in the main file, it'll modify it still, even if it's suppressed. But it's a great way when you've got a very complicated assembly to be able to see things that are hidden from view. That just about does it for this video. In the future, I'm going to cover a much more complicated assembly with a lot of parts, so you can see how that really works. This was just to get your feet wet in making assemblies. In the next video, I'm going to show making drawings for parts. I think that should be the next step. So if you have any questions about this or that or any other SolidWorks topic or machining topic, please leave those down in the comments. I'll try to cover it in a future video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.